Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Guided with Sookton. I am your host, Suki Luterio, and I am also live on my Facebook page right now for the first time. This is the first time that I'm recording a podcast while also being live on Facebook. So, hello, welcome. Thank you for being with me tonight. It's a beautiful evening in October, and I'm jumping on here to talk about something that has been near and dear to my heart lately. It's really been showing up in my life. And that is, I want to talk about the Sacral Chakra. I want to talk about Queen energy. And I want to talk about the difference between being versus doing. So let's get things straight away. I am a doer. I love to do. I love to keep myself busy. I love to fill up my planner with things to do and places to go and people to see. Always being of service. I'm always helping others. I'm definitely a people pleaser. And it's taken me up until almost the age of 40. I'm going to be 40 next year to really realize that it wasn't serving me to just continue to do rather than to be, to slow down and to look at myself and to honor the stillness and the quiet and the slow. I'll tell you, I've lived in Florida for the past, I lived in Florida for 10 years, and just recently we moved back up northeast to the state of Maryland. And I got to experience what it's like to be in the seasons again. And I haven't been in seasons, like I said, in many, many years. So this season, we went from summer into fall, and it was quick, very quick. It went from being being warm, to just all of a sudden being very, very cold. And this past weekend, it's been, 45 degrees and rainy. Everything was teaching me how to slow down. The rain, the past couple days, was teaching me how to slow down. And I got to look at it and be curious about it and say, I haven't experienced this in a while. And it's kind of nice. I was sitting in my office like I'm doing right now, and I was looking out the window, and I was just enjoying the quiet and the stillness of the rain. So the sacral chakra, this is the chakra connected to your reproductive organs, your lower abdomen, your lower back, your navel. It is the chakra that is connected to your creative energy and also your sensual and sexual energy. It is the element of water. It is the color orange. And the sacral chakra has been my pain point for many, many years. When I was 15, 16 years old, I realized that I, had menstrual cycles and pain that a lot of other women my age, or girls my age, were not experiencing. I knew something was wrong all the way back since I was like 15 or 16 years old. And it wasn't until later in life, I was diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I wasn't diagnosed with endometriosis until I was probably about 28. So years had gone by. I still knew something was wrong. And I was misdiagnosed, undiagnosed, underdiagnosed, however you want to call it. I was not served. I was not helped. And so I spent a lot of my years really disconnecting from this part of myself, my sacral chakra, and hating this part of myself. In fact, for a long time, I used to call it my useless uterus. Ouch, my useless uterus. Thinking about that now, it's painful to me, because now I have my two beautiful daughters, and they wouldn't be in existence if it weren't for this beautiful womb space of mine, my uterus. So, thinking about it now, it's like, wow, what does the sacral chakra have to do with all of the stuff that I was just talking about? Well, so much. Because like I said, the way the rain was coming down and that element of the water element, being in flow, being versus doing, right? What if we could live our life in a state of relaxed abundance and flow? This is what really came to me the other day. And so I started doing, and I'll show you a little bit, because I had started doing this painting. And I'm not an artist. I'm not an artist, guys. But I started doing this painting, and I realized that it totally was the sacral chakra. And this is like my representation of how I was feeling about myself. You see all the oranges. If you're listening on the podcast, you can't see it. It's a beautiful blossoming flower, and you see all the colors of the orange and the purple and the red and the green, and it was this feeling of like opening, surrendering, and releasing. Having my daughters was the biggest awakening and entering into the portal of really understanding the power of the sacral chakra. There is nothing like giving birth. It is the most traumatic, spiritual, challenging thing that you're ever going to go through. And I remember at the moment of really, crowning and bringing my children into the world, I remember going through this portal in my mind, right, in my third eye. I went right through this portal, and I realized, oh my God, this is a place, this is a part of my body that I have ignored, that I have disrespected, that I have, completely avoided for so many years. And yet, I am one of the most creative people I know. I know a lot of creative people, but I'm creative all the time. And I have to be thankful to my sacral chakra, because that is the spot that I've been able to honor all these years later now, and recognize that this is where it's coming from. So the sacral chakra, connected to the element of water, it wants to move, it wants to flow, it wants to open, it wants to soften, it wants to release, it wants to revitalize, it wants to help you connect back with yourself, with your soul, with your creator. We all get to co-create with our creators. We all get to be creative. We all get to be sensual and sacral beings, right? Connecting to this part of ourselves that is so inundated in the media too. Like, I could go on a whole nother podcast about just talking about how we are depicted and how sexuality is depicted through the media. That's a whole nother thing. But just to remind you that your queen status, like your energy of being in a queen, queen goddess, connecting to your divine feminine, connecting to your divine masculine, finding that balance that we're all seeking, starts with you looking at and honoring this part of yourself, this sacral chakra, right? And this was the big aha moment for me this week. It's not about doing more. It's about being. So I had this idea in my head that the more that I do and the more that I create, the better it is. And it was such an aha moment for me this week, where I broke that and I realized, is this really about me doing more? Is this about me creating more? And the more that I create, especially if I'm creating things that are half finished, half done, half energized, my energy's not in it. Why am I doing it? Why am I doing that, right? So it's such a big aha moment of, oh, I just get to be. And then, a lot of the self-worth and the things that we have connected to the sacral chakra that show up, the shadow work that comes up, that shows up, it'll tell you like, well, that's not enough. It's not enough for you to just be, right? You've got to do, because doing is being productive. I had a conversation with a client of mine a couple weeks ago. We had a real breakthrough around the word productive, because she had created such an enigma, such a connection into like what productivity meant, that she felt that she was constantly being not productive, and then beating herself up about it. What if it was less about doing and more about you being? yourself? What if it was less about doing and more about feeling and embodying and being in your physical body and connecting to joy and pleasure and creativity, right? Now, my Luna's going to try and come. Luna, one moment, please. One moment, please. So that's what I'm talking about on my podcast today, and I hope that you connected to that. I'm going to probably have to go now. Hold on, let me bring Luna in. Hold on. Okay, Luna. Okay, my dear. Okay. And Mommy's recording something. No? Okay. Here's a moment of me being while also recording a podcast. Okay. You see that? You see? Look at this. What do you think? You like Mommy's podcast mic? Yeah. Yeah. More about being and less about doing. Connecting with the sacral chakra, allowing yourself to be as creative as you want to be, honoring all parts of yourself, honoring your sacral chakra just as much as you honor any other part of your body. That's what I'd like to drive home with you today. And if this has been interesting to you, if this has been something that's leaving you with some aha moments, I invite you to join my container. I have a 3-day intensive next week, October 11th through the 14th. And we are going to be doing some amazing queen work. It's called Queen of My Soul. It's called Queen of My Soul. I'm putting the link in the comments. I'm putting the link in the podcast episode. I'm sending you so much love and blessings. And from Luna too. You want to say bye-bye? No. Bye-bye. Good night.